Welcome back to the Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga, is what I would usually say, but this week we are not going to go over anything currently in publication. We are instead dedicating this episode to reading and deep diving into the first chapters of the late, great Akira Toriyama. So on this episode, we're going to be discussing Chapter 1 of Dragon Ball, the first chapter of Dr. Slump, and also the starting chapter of Sandland. All that, manga discussion, manga news, and more coming right up. Hello again, my name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel. This week, I am joined again by the Vegeta to my Goku, Gautam.
Hello, hello.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Minor recap of last week's events. We got an announcement that Akira Toriyama passed away at the age of 68 due to I don't remember the exact medical term. I think it was the subdural hematoma, a brain aneurysm essentially is what I read. So taken from us too soon. This guy is, I would argue, the second most influential mangaka after Osamu Tezuka. And for the modern era, he's easily the most influential mangaka. He's one of the most influential Japanese people, probably.
Certainly had the biggest influence on Shonen Jump as we see it today.
Yeah, absolutely. He also had a huge influence on Japanese RPG games. I mean, being the original designer for Dragon Quest, setting up that sort of world and visual designs, we don't have, we're going to see when we get to our one more thing, which is a Final Fantasy game this week, that, Final Fantasy games take massive amounts of inspiration from Toriyama. His work on Chrono Trigger is exceptional. That's, generally regarded as one of the best JRPGs, maybe ever. His design's there, but yeah, I mean, everybody knows the name, Dragon Ball Z, Goku, Kamehameha. These are mimetic things, and I say that in the term as not that they are memes. They are memes. They are memes by the sociological term, which is a universal, understood, and agreed upon sort of thing in the world. The cultural influence of Toriyama is incredibly deep and more, profuses more deeply into manga and pop culture than maybe any other manga artist ever, right? Just even solely just looking at Dragon Ball Z, you could probably say that. Not to mention all the other things he's done. So.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
Cool.
And that's why today we're going to go over 3 of his most popular manga. Actually, do you know if Sandland is popular? It was popular in Japan when I went.
I'm sure in Japan it is more popular. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't know if it was immediately brought over here. I don't think it has a physical publication in the West, or it didn't, have a simulpub or anything. I know that when we got announcements for the Sandland, I guess it was an anime movie, early last year, late last year. I was mostly unaware of Sandland existing.
Got it. I hope we get that publicized after his passing, because it was a fun read.
Yeah,
but
I liked it a lot.
We'll go over that.
Yeah, we'll go over that. Let's start. I mean, obviously, we'll start, I think, with the most important of his works. So this is we're going to talk about Chapter 1 of Dragon Ball. So if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, the sort of Z, is it an arc? It's kind of a new version of Dragon Ball. It starts at chapter 120 or 150 or something of Dragon Ball. There's a bunch of Dragon Ball that happens with young sort of little kid Goku with a tail. Dragon Ball Z stuff, he's all an adult. So this is published. Actually, let me get some info on Dragon Ball real quick.
It's kind of like how One Piece is kind of like a 70% of battle shonen, 30% in adventure manga. Mm-hmm. Dragon Ball original is skewed the other way, where it's 70% adventure, 30% battle.
Yeah, and you'll see that when we go over this chapter. Is that it's a lot of sort of adventure-y, cool world building. It's a really good chapter 1. I think we'll understand by the end of this episode of these discussions that Toriyama is not. He did not luck into his success, I don't think. Obviously, there's an angle of luck for all success, but this guy really knows what he's doing.
Yeah, for real.
Especially these chapter ones. But yeah, so this is originally published 1984 is when the first chapter of Dragon Ball is published. And let's get into it. So, Gautam, why don't you start us off? How did you feel about Dragon Ball Chapter 1? Anything stand out?
It was a really, yeah, I think everything did. Like, it was a really fun read. I've read Dragon Ball, like, I don't know, a decade ago. So it was fun to revisit, and just like looking at it, the art is phenomenal.
Mhm.
Like, the characters are simplistic, and the designs are all cute. I don't know, everything just works. It's neat, and I think in any given moment, like, it changes from like cutesy slice of life goofy stuff to some really sleek action panels.
He's really good at action paneling. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Most importantly, I think this of all three of the series is that it is unique in comparison to kind of manga we get today, in that it feels like Akira Toriyama was just having a good time with it. You know, like,
yeah, it's like, and
it was relaxed.
it's
how I could describe
yeah, that's a good point. We were talking about this earlier, but when I was in a high school band, one of the things that my band director always told me was that if something is incredibly like difficult to play, and while you're playing it, it sounds like it's incredibly difficult, it is more impressive if you are able to perform something that is incredibly difficult and make it sound really easy. And so with Toriyama, he is putting out, these impressive pieces of art, these storytelling things, these action paneling you're talking about, and it just seems easy and fun. It's so like whimsical, and it doesn't seem like he's like, oh man, he's trying to, draw, all these lines and all this stuff tied together or whatever. It's just like, yeah, everything just flows. It's fun. It's lighthearted. I think that his sense of humor shines through in all three of these, even though Dr. Slump is the only true sort of comedy one, I guess we'll talk about. And I particularly like, even just on this page one, right? It starts off with like, this is the opening lines of Dragon Ball, right? Like one of the potentially the most influential anime manga of all time. It's like long, long ago in a deep, dark forest, far from civilization, beyond a towering range of, well, you get the idea. And it's like, that's like great. That like tells us everything you need to know. It's like Toriyama, even though he does like great world building, he's not really interested in like, that's like, he doesn't care. He's like, I know it's a fantasy world. Cool. Let's move on. Like, let's move on and have some fun.
Yeah. The world building is like, it's fine. It's not really the important part. It's more about the adventure and the journey of the characters and having a good time along the way. And that really comes through in this first chapter.
Yeah. And you also mentioned, the designs and his visual style and his character designs. Toriyama for me has one of, if not the most recognizable sort of anime styles, manga styles. Like, it's amazing that you can just like, I could show you like, hey, this is a picture of a dragon, and you would be like, that's a Toriyama dragon. Like, you can just tell, right? Or like, this is a slime, and here's like Toriyama's slime. And it's like, oh yeah, like you can tell. Like, he just has a very defined physical style. There's something in the eyes and the pupils and the eyebrows and how everything works. But like, you'll see at the end of this chapter, the little dragon thing that shows up, you look at it, you're like, yeah, like that's a Toriyama dragon. Like, you can just tell if you're familiar with his work, right? So
yeah, and on that note, like, I hadn't played Dragon Quest like way later, and one of my friends showed it to me. I'm like, did Akira Toriyama design these things? Mm-hmm. And they were like, yeah. I'm like, oh shit! Like, it's instantly recognizable, even if you don't recognize like what the work is, right?
Yeah,
Toriyama has a very distinct style.
Very distinct, yeah, very recognizable style. He was even apparently, I saw this on Twitter this week. They initially had contracted him to do the character designs for the original Digimon Adventure anime. And I think if you look at the lead characters in there, Toriyama, I think it was either one of his assistants or just another mangaka that he knew. He said, no, like, I'm not going to do this. Give it to this other guy. And the other guy, if you like know this, you're like, oh yeah, like, what was the main character? Like Tai from Digimon, like, that's almost a Toriyama character. Like, not exactly, but you can see the influence there of like, Tai has like the big hair, like
it's the Goku hair.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. He has kind of like Saiyan stick up Goku hair. Yeah. So, but yeah, again, this is like the first the second page, I guess, of the actual manga is what we're talking about, that really good action paneling, right? I have a video over on the White Gray Black YouTube channel talking about action paneling that focuses mostly on Murata, who I'd argue is still the best, but Akira Toriyama is exceptionally good at this, doing it, 35 years before Murata was, and I think that is extremely valuable. It's great here, right? You see everything. You see Goku like preparing to grab the stump, grabbing the stump, throwing it up, which is also sort of his crouching to prepare his jumping up. And then, he hits it on the next page, it breaks apart, it falls to the ground, and then he's picking it up, right? And it's part of what I talk about in the video is that even really quick actions, you generally have to use more panels. And I love how many panels he uses. It's like all that's really happening here is, right, it's like throw up, jump, break it, everything falls down, right? Maybe 3 or 4 seconds real time. But there's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like 8 panels here to do all that. And I love, love, love that. And action paneling shows you that like this guy understands those sort of fluid motions of like setup, impact, follow through. Like he's following all these kind of rules that I set up in that video. It's like a really, I had read this. I'd read this and we talked about, I read like maybe 20 chapters of Dragon Ball like 2 or 3 years ago. And I was really impressed with the action in it. I did not think that sort of modern action sensibilities that Murata has, I thought had come from a more modern sense of, growing up on animation and animated movies. But clearly, no, it was probably growing up on Toriyama is actually probably where that came from. Again, the influence of this guy spreads into little things you would never even think. So I love the action. And I'm sure that once you get to the Dragon Ball Z stuff, which I have to confess, I didn't have cable growing up. I didn't have Toonami, so I don't think I've ever watched a Dragon Ball Z episode start to finish, right? Like I've seen clips of Dragon Ball. Mm-hmm. I am aware of lots of things that happen. It's that pervasive in the sort of anime manga nerd zeitgeist. But I'm not sort of a fan or consumer of Dragon Ball Z at all. But reading Dragon Ball, I absolutely get it. Like this, it's fantastic. It's tons of fun.
I'd say you might not, because Dragon Ball is very different than Z, and it scratched the teenager's monkey brain in a different way. Like Dragon Ball Z is all about power levels and macho men fighting. It's kind of a JoJo reason to like the show, if that makes sense. I think Dragon Ball is just fun. Let's talk about the chapter itself real quick. If you go back one page, I don't know if this is intentional on Toriyama's part, but do you know about Saiyans?
I know that they are a space alien race. They have tails. They can power up. That's kind of what I know.
And they're all pretty evil. They're planet conquerors.
Oh, right. They're like invincible. The Viltrumites are invincible.
Exactly. They're just like
probably another influence, right? Viltrumites are invincible. Maybe just
100%. 100%. Viltrumites are 1-to-1 Saiyans, pretty much.
Yeah.
Minus the tails, but in this, you kind of see the little bit of Saiyan DNA in Goku, the prepare to die and Haya, no escape, which are all kind of like galactic conqueror vibes this little guy has going.
I never would have tied that in, but
I don't know if that's an intentional nod to Goku's heritage, but I think it is, because I think we've only read the first chapter on the reread, but the reason Goku's a good boy is because when he landed on Earth, and Dragon Ball fans can correct me if I'm off base in any of the finer details here, but he bonked his head, and his grandpa Gohan raised him as a good kid. And I think all the indoctrination that the Saiyans had in their incubation pods before they get sent to respective planets to conquer it didn't work because he bonked his head so hard.
So
Goku's a good kid because of a good thwack on the head and a nice grandpa. But yeah, let's keep going.
It's great. Something else I want to mention, just design-wise, I think the thing that I like the most about Toriyama's designs, and we'll see more of it in a second when we follow Bulma a bit more, but the designs of his vehicles are like, I wish he was more well known for that and less well known for people yelling at each other and shooting laser beams. Like, as cool as laser beams and yelling at each other is, like, the way he designs his vehicles are like, they're so interesting and so cool.
They're very cool.
They're so stylized and understandable.
That bike.
Yeah,
That bike Bulma has is like as cool, like should be as iconic as the Akira bike, in my opinion. It's very unique.
yeah. Well, I mean, like every car, and I've seen a bunch of vehicles that he's drawn. I mean, there's like 3 of them, I guess, in this chapter because she gets another bike out later. They're all just like super cool, super interesting, and stylized in a way that's like, well, yeah, that car would really drive and work. Like, but it's it's sort of taller than we're used to, and it's like a little K car type thing. I don't know. Again, his design is just so
It's very
holy.
good.
It's so cool. It's so interesting. And I also another thing that I love, and I think we'll see it. And this is something I think that we see influence in things like One Piece even is the facial expressions of his characters and how sort of exaggerated and goofy they are. And I think this comes from his comedy chops coming from Dr. Slump, which we're going to get to next. But like on this page, you can see, right, as we get kind of at the top, it's like sort of a normal interested Goku. And then it's like super shocked Goku, like super shocked Bulma. And then, she turns and he's really surprised. And then,
Note the car, they didn't have 4-wheel drive back in the day.
yeah, only the front wheels turning. Yeah. But like every single panel has like really, really like well readable expressions that are over the top in the exact right amount, in my opinion. It's which is not, I guess, over the top is like at the top. But yeah, I don't know. There's one page on here where I thought there was, I don't know. There's one page on here where it's just like lots of good facial expressions in a row. Oh yeah, it's when he's driving the bike. It's just like you get right, like Bulma getting grabbed by this dinosaur thing, and then Goku driving the bike is like completely out of there. His serious face, like I don't know. I love the facial expressions. Again, they're just like they are expressive and goofy in a way that I think that we're really used to in modern anime and manga. And like. Not to say that he was definitely not this sort of the first mangaka to use these, obviously, but I do think that obviously because his influence is so deep and wide, that his sort of way of using lots of goofy faces and lots of kind of over the top faces and stuff like this, like to me reading this reads like chapter 1 of One Piece, where it's like, someone is mad and their face is like which one? Like there was a face on here that I was like, oh, that could totally be a One Piece face. Like, there's just a bunch of things in here where it's just like Goku. Yeah, I don't know. The faces are great. I love it.
Yeah, I like them too. I like that Bulma's first impulse is to just take out her Glock and headshot this kid a few times.
Yeah, just shoots like a 6-year-old in the head. Like
he did throw her car. I get that. Yeah. But it's great. She shoots him in the fucking head a few times, and then they talk about like their respective genders and how his grandpa taught him that he has to be nice to girls. Mm-hmm. Very funny, cute stuff. And Bulma is really trying to like use her femininity to pull his strings, but it's really not working because Goku just does not get it. Even as an adult, spoilers, he doesn't get it. But he shows her that he has a tail in one of these pages, and she does not believe him. He's like, oh, it's just a fashion trend. It's like
oh, that's weird that he's wearing a tail. Yeah.
Did you not see that he threw your car and you headshot him and he's fine? And he called them little ouchies, which is also a good one.
Yeah,
I love the wahoos and like the messed up English in the localization. It feels like how people actually talk. They do like wahoos, Lego, instead of let's go, or let go. I think that's like to show that Goku's kind of a country bumpkin.
For sure, yeah. There's in the upper left here, there's like a you mean instead of like you mean. Yeah, lots of contractions and stuff. Yeah, I think definitely to show that he's sort of a and hey, the answer of can we make it through an episode without talking about how much we love the idiot savant dumb main characters? The answer is not this week. Because Goku is, in my opinion, one of the original, probably maybe not the original, but one of the original shonen.
I love Kid Goku. Kid Goku. I don't really like adult Goku. He's fine.
Okay, yeah. But I mean, Kid Goku is the perfect, like, just an idiot main character that's really good at fighting and really, tough body. Like, he's good at a couple things and he's really dumb at other things. And that's interesting and fun.
Oh, he's great. He's a great protagonist. I love his interactions with Bulma because Bulma is Bulma's also like she's a genius savant, right? Like but she's also an idiot. Like she created this dragon radar herself to track down the electromagnetic pulses of these dragon balls that can grant any wish in the world. And her ultimate goal, once she gets all of these, was initially to get a lifetime supply of like strawberry milk.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh wait, never mind. I'd actually want a cute boyfriend." And it's like, okay, great. I love this premise already. You know, it's very stupid.
Yeah. She's also got a little bit of just like I've turned my mind onto comparing Dragon Ball and One Piece now. She has a little bit of the Nami vibes where it's like she's a little bit like, oh, I know this kid has the ball. Like, well, I'm just gonna take it from him. Like he's too stupid. He doesn't need it. Like I'll just take it, and I'm the smart, mature person in this kind of two-person relationship. So I'll get the Dragon Balls and I'll make my wish and he'll help me, but he's the idiot kind of other guy. She feels much not
She's
like
very much like Nami, yeah.
Yeah, not like in a straight up like manipulative bad way, but in a very much a sort of like, well, this kid's an idiot. Like I'm gonna do my thing. Like
it is in a manipulative bad way a little bit.
A little
but
bit.
It's endearing,
it's more
right?
fun.
Like
it's fun, yeah.
We like Bulma, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But she's very much like a prototype Nami. Not to say Bulma's worse in any way. I think Bulma's one of the best characters, but she is like Nami before Nami in early Dragon Ball.
Again, yeah, it's just we're seeing the influence of a master. Yeah. I like this part, even though it's a little like spoilers for. I've read more of early Dragon Ball, right? I said I've read about 20 chapters. It's a little perverted. And by a little perverted, I mean like very perverted. Like, there are pages that I skipped in chapter 1. You do see Goku's penis in chapter 1, by the way, in like an entire page. Like there's an entire page full of.
But that was
Goku,
just funny.
Goku fighting a fish. Yeah, I mean like it's goofy and fine, but it is also like it's a little hornier than you might expect if you're used to.
I wouldn't call that part horny because I think that's just like Toriyama joking around.
That part isn't, but some of the later stuff is.
Oh, for sure. Once Roshi's involved.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say, once Roshi stays up, it's just like this man is unbelievably horny, and they are doing things that would not fly in the year 2024 of our Lord. So
I love that Bulma is like what she usually uses to like get away with her little schemes. Is absolutely not working on Goku whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what I want to bring up is how like I love Goku's response here of like she's like I'll show you my butt, and he's like, why do I want to see your dirty butt? Which is like to me this is like brutal. I can see Luffy saying this, like this is a Luffy and what's the Amazon Lily?
Hancock.
Like this is a Hancock and Luffy interaction if I've ever seen one. Like I was like, I'm trying to seduce you with like everyone else would be seduced or would agree to this, and the main character's just like, I don't understand. Why would I want to see that? Like, that's not, that's not a thing I want at all.
But I like that Bulma's smart enough to know that it's not working. And she's like, okay, well, your grandpa did tell you to be nice with girls, right? And he's like, I guess so. He's like, okay.
Let's go with it. Well, and it's also like the flow of this. It's insane to me that this opening chapter is only like, I think it's like 32 pages long. Like, and keep in mind, most like new manga premieres we get are anywhere from 40 to like 60 pages. And Toriyama can do like more in 30 pages than I would argue any premiere of the last like 4 or 5 years has done. Because the things I understand after finishing Dragon Ball Chapter 1 is like, I get that they're in sort of a weird, Seussian kind of fantasy land. I get that there's also really high-tech stuff, right? Because Bulma has this Dragon Ball detector and these like pods that dump out motorcycles and stuff like that. There's we understand that there's monsters. We understand that there's magic. We understand that there's technology. Like I get all of that stuff. I understand. I understand what Bulma is looking for, wants, and she's found 2 of them already or 3 of them. I don't remember how many she has. Like I get that Goku like is not motivated by the same things that motivate Bulma. I know all these things about the characters. I know all these things about the plot. I sort of get the tone of it. I get the tone of it in the first page with the little monologue at the start, right? Where he's like, beyond the towering range of, well, you get the idea. Like it's the kind of place a story like this has to begin, right? Like that opening line tells me like everything I need to know about what, the tone of Dragon Ball, all the setup, all this stuff. It's just excellent storytelling in general. In like, he uses visual mediums for a lot of this, right? Like he doesn't tell us anything about, the sort of like it doesn't tell us really anything about the sort of flora and fauna like directly, but we do see, you know, in the early pages we see monkeys, we see weird lizards and stuff, and then later on he fights the big fish. And it's like, okay, we understand like, well, that fish is way bigger than a fish in our world. So then when like the dragon shows up at the end, you're like, yeah, like he's already developed a world where I agree that this can exist. It is not a new invention. It's just like excellent every step of the way here.
It's because like he's saying the world building doesn't matter. It's more of a go with the flow kind of story. Just have fun with it.
Yeah, it's a passive. It's a passive background thing, but it's still like he does it to a degree where it isn't. It never impedes or gets in the way of his story. And
this is a Saturday morning cartoon through and through, right?
For sure.
Like,
this is. I see a ton of influence. Yeah, I see a ton of influence for like Hanna-Barbera type cartoons. Like that's almost what his style in this time kind of looks like, right? Like this dragon I could see showing up like this could be like in the Flintstones, and you would be like, oh yeah, it's a pterodactyl from the Flintstones, right? Like that's kind of what that looks like. Yeah, Toriyama definitely has that kind of I guess, I mean, that's at the time he grew up in, right? That kind of sort of late 60s, early 70s cartoon style. Because that is exactly the kind of animation that he probably grew up on in comics and stuff. So
this page is also very funny. I hope her weenie doesn't get bit off by a snake.
Yeah,
like Goku still does not understand the difference.
And he's also just like, now it's wrong. Like she's gotten into trouble like a bunch of times.
Yeah. Oh, fucking Goku, you little idiot.
He's great, yeah. And again, yeah, I love him driving this little capsule motorcycle. Again, the design of this capsule motorcycle is super cool. I know what models. Like, I'm not a big model guy, but if there were models of like the Toriyama vehicles, I'm sure they do exist. Yeah.
Before this, like when he first rode in the capsule bike, he said, "Wow, this thing goes faster than I can run." I didn't think that was possible. And
yeah.
Along with the feats you already saw of him taking out the fish and him tanking a bullet and all that stuff, it's like this cements how superhuman Goku is. Like he's strong, he's athletic, but he's also like as fast as a bike, pretty much, right? A motorbike, pretty much.
Well, yeah, and this is exactly what I'm talking about of why Toriyama deserves to be praised, because some people, you know, if you're a lesser or maybe a more new or practicing author or something, you might say like, how fast does this bike go? This bike goes 80 kilometers an hour. It's like, wow, I can run 75 kilometers per hour. So this bike is even faster than I am. Like you might have an exchange like that, but in this thing, you get more out of it by him saying like, this goes even faster than I can run. And I didn't think that was possible, which means that like Goku, this is a confidence thing to his character too, right? Which again, like Toriyama is doing like multiple things. Again, 30 pages. His first chapter is like 30 pages long. He's doing so many things with every line. It's like, oh, we get that Goku is confident in his abilities and how strong he is, which we kind of already saw, but it's good to reinforce that. Again, just like, it's just good quality storytelling, like all the way through. This chapter 1 is like fantastic. Yeah. It's so
really fun.
Let's see. And then in the very final pages here, right, we do finally get the Extendo staff, which is a classic for Son Goku, the Journey to the West? Is that what that story's called? Which is kind of the influence of Goku here, obviously.
I forgot what it's called in Japanese, but in English they call it the power pole.
Oh, like the actual staff? Yeah, it has a name.
Says the Nyoibo.
Yeah.
I don't know. He uses it a lot in Dragon Ball, but I only remember really his flying Nimbus.
Which does he use that in the chapter 1? He does, right?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Okay, he uses it like pretty soon.
I think he gets it from Roshi or something.
Okay, yeah, maybe that's right.
Because I don't remember it in chapter 1.
Yeah,
but again, fun chapter 1.
It's really great. Again, it's really short. You can go read it for free on Viz.com. That's free advertisement. You're welcome.
I love that Goku in the final panel got the saying wrong. See, all's swell that ends swell.
Yeah.
It's not even like him like having a country accent. He just gets it fully wrong. It's great.
Yeah. There's also like, this is I think there's a lot of humor in chapter 1, and Toriyama's coming off of writing Dr. Slump, which is more of a comedy thing. The last part of this chapter is a joke because he just says, for the like next chapter lead, it says, "Next, my balls are missing." Like that's like we've already seen Goku's penis, like we talked about earlier in the chapter, which is again like as a gag. So yeah, it's great. It's like it's one of those things that's like, yeah, for an adventure series, it's the whole thing. Like it's funny, it's endearing, it's fun, it's lighthearted, it has good action. Like I said, there's a reason Dragon Ball is, as as cemented into legacy as it is. Like that is not drawn from an undeserved place.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Anything else on Dragon Ball? Anything else that stood out to you? Any more context? I think.
Nah, let's get a Slump.
Cool. Yeah. Let's take a look back a little bit at Dr. Slump, which is the series that Akira Toriyama did, I believe, for Weekly Shonen Jump. Weekly Shonen Jump from 1980 to 1984. So this was essentially what he did right before Dragon Ball. So this is a comedy series about I guess it's like a scientist that I've only read chapter 1 of this.
I've also only read chapter 1 of this.
Yeah, basically we get a scientist that invents this sort of robot girl who is sassy. I actually saw a tweet, I think from Mother's Basement, maybe, was talking about how the first page again of this chapter is like tells us everything you need to know about it. And I agree. I think the first page here, with very little like on-screen text, gives you a ton of world building and info. Right? You've got Dr. Senbei Norimaki, which we haven't brought up yet. Apparently, every character in Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball, they're just named after foods or like foods or like prepared foods or ingredients or whatever. Like other than Goku, is Goku named after a food?
I don't think so.
He might be the only one who's not, right? But like Gohan is like the word for rice. I guess Bulma is technically, her name is like Bloomers, right? But but like they're all named after like goofy stuff. Like everyone just has goofy names, which I think is just great.
No, that is great.
But yeah, so
I suppose Cell isn't either, but like most of them are. Most of them.
Yeah, well, and I think it shows that like you don't have to name your character like like Vengeance McKiller Man. Like you don't have to give them cool names. Like the coolest names can be like everyone's favorite. Some of everyone's favorite character in Dragon Ball. His name is literally Vegetable. Like Vegeta. Literally, his name is Vegetable. Like that's his name.
I mean, like Monkey D.
doesn't
Luffy,
matter,
right? Like
exactly.
Yeah, our protagonists don't need to have cool names. They can have silly names.
Yeah, or like Naruto, whatever his last name is, Uzumaki, right? Like he's named after the little swirly fish things that you get in your ramen. Like again, we see influence from Toriyama in all these shonen going forward that happened after that. So yeah, so this guy's name is Dr. Senbei Norimaki, which is a rice cracker wrapped in seaweed. We see him like doing some work here. This girl says, "Whoo," and she yawns, sniffle, and the last page is she's like, "Boring," and she says, the doctor says, should have put the talking bits on last." Like, and this is a first page that I like absolutely love. This tells us so much. We get that like, oh, this girl's going to be a little sassy. There's kind of a father-daughter dynamic here. And the dad is like, the doctor is sort of not having it, right? Like he's like, he's like, I'm going to be sassy back, and this is going to be our dynamic. And I think so. Again, this is the page I was thinking about. This second page here on the left has like the best facial expressions of like a single page of manga that maybe I've ever read. Like the eyeballs when he's like when he gets like punched in the balls here.
That's a classic.
And then is like this, I don't know, every face here is great and amazing. It's so good. I love the facial expressions. I thought this was like a really funny chapter 1, legitimately. Like most of these comedy manga usually don't really work for me unless they tend to like really appeal specifically to my sense of humor. And this one wasn't completely appealing to my sense of humor, but it was still like something about it was, I found it sort of cuter, more appealing, made me smile. Again, I think it was just lighthearted and fun. Like I just found it a lot of fun, even if it wasn't like, oh, I'm not laughing out loud. It's still just a lot of fun. So, Gautam, how'd you feel about Dr. Slump, chapter 1?
Probably my least favorite of the 3. I thought it had its moments for sure. But I didn't have a bad time reading it. It was still a enjoyable read just because, like I said about Dragon Ball, it was really relaxed, right? You could tell Toriyama was having a good time just writing whatever he wanted on the page. And like doing like this chapter one was just like three different mini sketches, all jammed into one chapter.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
And yeah, I just had it was a fun read, but I wouldn't say it was. I found it as funny as Dragon Ball or Sandland.
Yeah.
So I think he really refined his chops as he wrote Doctor Slump. I'm sure it gets better as he goes too, because Slump is pretty popular.
Yeah, Slump is really popular in Japan. There's something I can definitely see what people saw in him with Doctor Slump, though. I think that there is an angle to sort of like the visual storytelling, the visual gags, like something I complain about in manga pretty often is like you're working in a visual medium. And if you're not using that visual medium to tell your story, right? If your story is all told through dialogue and then your visual is just, well, they're fighting or whatever, I don't enjoy that, right? Like use your visual medium to tell, to make gags, to do, to show interesting reveals. You can show, a character's more powerful by moving your camera down or showing them larger on the page. Like it's another thing that sort of Oda does, right? Like you just draw a dude bigger, he's more powerful. Like that's a really simple, like visual storytelling type thing. And I can see in Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball and in Sandland that Toriyama just knows that, right? He knows he's working in a visual medium and he uses that visual medium and even stuff like turning the page into a joke or swapping the panel into a joke, the sort of reveal of something different that I like a lot. I can just tell that he just understands like his medium already. Like there's a little bit of cross-dressing stuff in here that's like a little dated, right?
Sucked.
Yeah, it's a little dated, but it's a little dated, but it was not as offensive as it could have been, I guess.
It was not offensive. It wasn't that offensive. It was just like a bizarre, like unfunny sketch. But yeah. I think that's the nature of sketches. They can't all be winners. It's weird that the doctor decided that instead of buying girls' clothing, he should buy women's clothing in order to pretend to be a woman, in order to buy girls' clothing for his daughter. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess on paper, it's funny, but like, I don't know. I did not like it at all, but I liked the third. The third one was genuinely pretty funny.
The last one here.
Yeah, where she's like ordering engine oil and like they're dodging the question of how the two are related, and then the bartender's like slowly uncovering that she might not be human. Yeah. And because what's her name? Ariel? Arale? I've only read it, so I'm not sure to pronounce it. But
I would assume Arale with Japanese pronunciations, but not sure.
She's like giving away hardcore that she's a robot, not a human, right? Because she wants motor oil as a drink. And then like this lady appears to be catching on, and she's like, "Wait, you don't have nostrils."
Yeah, I love this part.
So it's like something wrong with her nose, and he, like the scientist guy's like, "Well, neither do I or you. This is a manga." And she's like, "Oh yeah, you're right." And then she looks in the mirror. She's like, "Oh yeah, true." I was like, "Okay, great. I love that conflict resolution there." That's a great little subversion.
It's like again, it's like this. Even though this maybe doesn't appeal directly to my sense of humor, it's like it's still funny. I get like, oh, like what a great joke, and it's meta, and it's like,
that one was legit good. Which is why I think like for this gag manga, I think reading just the chapter one doesn't sell it fully for me. But I think if I read like the first 10 chapters, I'd really like this.
There would probably even if it's like a 50% hit rate on a good gag manga, like that's still pretty good. So
yeah, and I believe in Toriyama to have more than a 50% hit rate. We only have a 50% hit rate because it's like a small sample size. I think if I had a bigger sample size, this would be like a fun little manga to read.
Yeah, and I agree with you. This last part where they're in the bar and doing stuff. Again, like I think all the facial expressions are really funny. Like that's again like using your art to just draw something funny. Like that is maybe a less practiced art. All of the doctor's facial expressions, I love. Like when he says you don't have nostrils, he's like, neither do I. This is a manga. Like again, it's got like popped out eyes, like crazy exaggerated mouth and teeth and stuff. Like that's the kind of stuff that I actually think is really fun and I really enjoy. When it's just like the drawing is funny. Like they just drew a funny drawing, and I'm looking at the funny drawing.
I feel like One Piece is carrying that torch nowadays.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the facial expressions in the sort of memeable One Piece parts are great. Like we got one like last chapter, maybe 2 chapters ago in One Piece that I also thought was great from Kizaru, I think. But I don't know.
Oh yeah, right.
But yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just like, yeah, again, this is, I don't, yeah, I think this is probably maybe my least favorite of the three also, but it's also his earliest, like his least refined, I would say. So
least refined, and it's a gag manga that had like 3 separate skits, and one of the skits I didn't like, so it kind of it's like a harder prospect for me to put it above the other two. But
yeah.
I think it's still like, if I read more, I think I'd like it. So I think that's a good sign.
Too. I think this is to be like an easy thing to read more of. Like again, like you mentioned, it's just an easy read. Like it's just
very
fun.
easy read.
Just a fun author.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I didn't even dislike this one. Like I thought it was still good because it was just a relaxed, fun read, regardless. I liked. Let's move on to Sandland, but I'd say I liked all 3 of these. Dragon Ball was certainly my favorite. And Slump was probably my least favorite, but Sandland was like kind of a surprising second favorite. I expected it to be like my least favorite, but
I didn't really know what to expect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just to note, like the first chapter of Dr. Slump is again like only 20 pages long, so he's doing all this in a much shorter time frame than a lot of other authors are given. Let's go to Sandland.
I think the only thing that suffered from like the 20-page limit was the cross-dressing skit, because it happened like I think that gag would have worked if we saw more of the doctor's thought process and his stupid ideations on why he should dress like a woman to buy girls' clothes. But he's just like, it feels like he impulse did it. It's like, why, bro?
Yeah.
Sandland. Sandland's good.
Yeah, I was not sure what to expect with this. When I sort of initially saw the designs and stuff, I thought like, I don't know, that doesn't feel, it didn't feel as appealing to me as seeing something like Dragon Ball, like Dragon Ball Z. Just got like a weird pink dude on this thing, but so
he's definitely not as cute as Goku, right?
For sure, is a little bit less. And this is a pretty short thing. I don't know how many. It's a single Tankobon volume, so it's like 6 chapters probably total. We probably could have read all this if we wanted to, but
I checked it as like 16 chapters from what I saw, but it ended.
That might be right.
I was like, yeah, we could have finished all of it.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that later on in the year or something. But it was published in 2000, so it is one of his more modern pieces, but certainly not his most modern. But I think for Weekly Shonen Jump it might be. But yeah, so again, like just to mention how I'm like a sucker for page 1, like a good page 1 or a good first like 1 or 2 pages, like really draws me in. And I think this one does another really good job of it, right? You've got kind of a very similar panel to the first panel of Dragon Ball, where it's like, okay, here's kind of your background. Okay, desert, rocky, there's a scorpion, there's a thing holding a parasol, so you know that it's sunny, and a lizard on a rock. It's like, okay, I get where we are. You get the demon kid, sort of playing on a Game Boy, right? And his other little demon friends are like, let me play too, hold on a second. And even just those 3 panels tell us like, convey so much information to us, right? We understand potential technology levels. We get that sort of these other demons are looking to have fun. They are not super invested in whatever other drama or something that might be happening outside. But even more so, right? Moving on, we get the little goo guy with the parasol that says like, "Hey, it's here," and the main character's face goes a little more serious. He puts the Game Boy away. And like just that page, like, man, I just cannot stress. Like I could talk for 10 minutes about why this first page conveys like all the information you need to know in one page. Like this is everything. This is the world. I understand the character. I understand the interaction of the character with other stuff. I get technology levels of the world. I get all this different stuff. I don't know. It's like, it's so good. There's so many details here. That's just, and it's mostly visual, right? There's like, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 real words that are not onomatopoeias on this page. And that's it. And and it tells me everything. Like basically the rest of the chapter doesn't give me a whole lot extra on who the character is or what the world is. It does give you a little bit extra, of course. But this builds such a solid foundation in the first page that I'm just blown away about how good this is.
Yeah, it's solid. I do love that centaur guy just relaxing in the background because he's bored hanging out with a bunch of children.
Yeah.
But yeah, head over to the next page real quick.
It's also just one of those design things. Like the centaur guy is like, yeah, it's a Toriyama centaur.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this. So the basic premise is that they are completely out of water. So this is a water heist. They're demons stealing from humans. And yeah, they just completely cut the engines of the car or like stall them out or something and snatch up the water. And just like Goku, this demon kid, I forget his name, gets glocked in the head. And he's like, ow, don't do that. Just like Goku does. Something about Toriyama main characters and getting shot in the head with a pistol or a gun is just very funny.
It's all I mean, and it's also another like I don't know, I guess it's like a world building thing. I don't know if I describe it like that exactly, but like having your characters like get a gun drawn on them, get shot, and then shrug it off immediately means that your story's not about, right? It's not about, guns are not a threat, right? He's established in this world that it's like people have guns, doesn't matter to our main character. Like other things are going to have to threaten him. And it's the same for Goku, and it's the same for this guy.
Yeah, and in this case, it's holy water, which is already like a valuable resource to these people, right? Like water. Yeah. And the little squirrel or the weasel, he throws a weasel at the guy shooting holy water at them, and the weasel's like, "I'm a Japanese demon," or like maybe a yokai or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like that doesn't work on me. And basically, they just let the humans go. And the demon prince here says, yeah, you know, like, oh yeah, right here. He says, you know, it wouldn't be as fun if like we raided the castle and took all the water from them because humans are already on their last leg, right? We don't want to. The world will be boring if they die out. And I think that's just subtext that he just wants to play video games because he's been playing his Game Boy in the original scene, and his like the only reason he goes on his quest in the next 3 pages is because he's been given the newest PlayStation.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm pretty sure.
And you're absolutely right. And that's all stuff that I think is established on page 1, right? Like the thing that this kid wants to be doing is he's sitting here and he wants to be playing his Game Boy, right? Like he's called away by the other demons, but yeah.
I think it's just funny. Like he says like the world will be less interesting when I think the actuality is that the dude just wants more video games. And I can't blame him. It's very funny. I like that Toriyama.
Sort of a who's the character in Fire Punch who's like
Agni?
Yeah, who's just like I don't want to kill everyone. I want people to exist because I need them to make the next Star Wars movie. Or like
the villain. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh man, they would really regret that wish. But yeah.
Yeah, but you also get, I mean, another good thing here of characterization of the main character is that, you know, they get, you know, 6 boxes of water or whatever that they steal. And there's like a kid they drive by that, you know, it looks like a poor kid who needs water, and he like shows that he's good-hearted in nature, which is by dropping a box of water off at his doorstep.
And I think he doesn't really think too deeply about like factions and sides because like
for sure,
like humans are like as you'll see, humans are the reason that like all the water dried up due to Infinite Warfare, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and all the water in the world dried up. So, but he's still giving water away to humans that he did steal from humans. But it's like he just sees people as people, seemingly.
Yeah, which again is just like is on that sort of that character chart of like the 3 big things to think about. This is his like what is it? I always have to remember them every time and I can never think. It's like competency, like goodness, kindness. Like he's very high on the goodness, kindness one, right? Like and he's also just competent enough to be doing stuff. So
yeah.
And then like relatability or whatever. But yeah. And again, like cool. I like the design of like cities and stuff. Like all the like style designed visual elements in Toriyama's manga are all like really cool. Like the way this looks sort of like
reminds me of Nausicaa.
Yeah, a little bit of Nausicaa, a little bit of the sort of like, I think it's in like New Mexico or Arizona. There's like the Native American, the caves where people live. Like I've been there. I think it was like 20 years ago, but I've been there. But it reminds me sort of that, right? Where it's all kind of made like into the rock or out of the rock.
I assure you I've seen this village in this is like the Cosmo Canyon in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like this came out, I guess this came out a couple years after Cosmo Canyon, but yeah, it's a Cosmo Cane stuff. So what happens in this chapter? The old guy shows up and says like, "Hey, I need to go to the south, through the storm to get some kind of to find is it an oasis or a wellspring? I don't remember which one.
Yeah,
Exactly
it's like a spring.
a spring or something." And I loved that. I thought at first the main character hints, he's like, "Oh yeah, my dad's the big bad," and I was like, "Oh, he's bluffing. There's no dad, whatever." And then it's like, nope, Toriyama wanted to draw this big guy looks like Satan, and he did. And I love this guy's design a lot. So
this guy's 1-to-1 a Dragon Ball character. In one of the arcs. It was during the Boo saga. He gets.
I've seen this guy, and I can't. Is it it's not the curly haired guy, is it?
He's not really that important. Basically, he summons Majin Buu, and Majin Buu turns him into chocolate and eats him.
Okay. Classic.
Yeah. I don't think it's the same character, of course. This guy's clearly.
I have to say, I've seen that
Demons.
face before, right? It's the Toriyama style for sure.
Oh, and this is just the same character, facial hair and all. But different character, quote unquote. Yeah. But I love that he's like, yeah, go help him out. He seems trustworthy. And when you come back, you only get 1 hour of PlayStation a day. And he's like, okay.
And he's like, yeah.
He doesn't. And the kid's also, like, yes, Papa. But I don't think he has that little rascally Faust.
I know. I just saw this. I think this is so great. Like, I think
that's awesome. I didn't notice.
I think the English translators probably did that, but I think that's absolutely hilarious. They put him reading Faust in there.
I like how the Demon Prince really doesn't seem like he will only play for an hour a day.
I think for sure that's like, oh, he doesn't know that I'm playing all the time. He's like, oh, thanks, Dad. And like he's probably like, oh, an extra hour that I don't have to worry about hiding from my dad or whatever.
He twists the old demon's arm into going with him.
Yeah.
Because literally no one else wants to go. They're all like making excuses.
Yeah, which is like, it was super funny, great character. Again, it's that sort of lighthearted, whimsical, fun times where it's like, well, we're not really.
They spent pages arguing about like how
there's
he
like 3 or 4
go.
pages. I think that's why I didn't grab him, because I was like, oh yeah, there's just like 3 or 4 pages of him trying to ask all the other demons to go on this journey with him, and they don't want to go.
They're not worth grabbing, but I think they're very fun because it's like the relaxed beat that I was talking about. It's just like it develops their characters because they're just like, one is very the Demon Prince is very laissez-faire, and the other one's very responsible, and he's like, fine. I love it.
Yeah. When they drive away, they get attacked by this like sandworm thing. Shoutouts to
cool looking sand dragon.
Yeah, sand dragon, which again is one of these like cool Toriyama designs. Like every visual design he does is just like, okay, that's awesome. Like that's a different take on a sand dragon, sandworm that I've ever seen.
That's like
they call it a Geji dragon. Yeah.
Looks cool.
Yeah, and like this whole sort of action chasing at the end here is really good and fun. It doesn't like totally resolve, obviously. I probably might go back and read this. I know Sandland's pretty short, but they like end up cutting loose their supplies to drive off fast enough. And they're just again, as good as he is at action, it's clear that that's not, Toriyama's not here to be like, I want to draw people fighting and I want to draw action scenes and stuff. He's like, well, they're fun, but like almost every time there's like a joke or a gag or like funny facial expressions to put in there. And it's just kind of is over really fast. And then it's more about like, well, the last thing you get in the chapter is like them having a funny argument. As opposed to like, it ends with some big epic, like, freeze frame on an action shot. It's like, nope, it's over. And Toriyama's like, okay, time to make a joke. Like, that's what I'm here for.
I like how both the demons just enjoy driving. They had a really fun time with it.
Yeah, they're just like, this is so, I mean, they're like kids, right? Like, I don't know. When you were to drive, driving's cool.
Yeah, even the responsible old demon was like, okay, let me give it a crack. And he went like buck wild with it. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, and it's a good talking about sort of structure of comedy that the sort of human that asked them to be on this quest is clearly kind of the straight man to their goofiness. They're arguing in the back about like, oh, just see how I drove us out of that. Like, I drove us out of that. And the prince is like, you were just driving straight. Like, I could have done that. You didn't do anything. And the guy's like, we just lost all of our food, all of our water and everything. Like, now what?
Yeah,
and that's
very much the straight man with like the Gokus and Luffys of the world who just really don't give a shit and feel like they can figure it out, Yeah,
which is great because I know that eventually, if I had to guess, I think that if I probably read the rest of Sandland anytime, I bet this human guy goes a little goofy at some point, because I think that's another really fun and funny sort of trope, I guess, in comedy, is like you have the straight man and you have the funny man, and then at some point the roles reverse and the like the straight man goes funny or wild, and the funny man suddenly has to be like, "What are you doing? You're being wild now. You're the funny man." I like that reversal a lot in comedy. So I really,
or the straight man gets like Stockholm syndrome and is just like used to it now, and like a new straight man shows up, and they're like, "Buddy, I feel your
straight
pain here.
man, yeah."
You'll get used to it.
or someone tries to like call out the funny man for being like too wild, and the straight man's like, "Hey, wait a minute, like back off. Like he's my funny man, and I'm his straight man or whatever."
This is sounding like a gay romantic comedy.
I was going to say it sounds a little BL, but that's okay. Cool. I mean, yes, those are 3 chapters. Again, Toriyama. It makes sense. I didn't know. I was not super up to date on Toriyama stuff, mainly because I just didn't grow up on Dragon Ball, right? So
yeah, fair.
But yeah, I mean, super fun to go back and read. Like I said, I've read 20 or so chapters of Dragon Ball. I think it's a lot of fun. I could go back and read it, I think, and still enjoy it. But there's obviously other stuff on my plate. So yeah. It's sad that he's passed. I think that if I had known how quality these were before, it's sad that we're not going to get any more art or any more creation out of Toriyama, because the stuff he created is iconic, and so his own style, and all that stuff. So,
well, I'm happy that he influenced so many people.
Yeah. I mean, and we'll go and talk about the news. I mean, obviously, the big news story is Akira Toriyama's passing. Some of the things that went along with that were a lot of mangaka coming out to release statements about either knowing Toriyama or his influence on their work. So people like Oda and Kishimoto both gave, long, they probably just released announcements. I saw them on Twitter, obviously translated, that really, talked about a guy who was just like having a lot of fun and like really enjoying stuff, and was a really like nice guy, which I think you can see from, I think you get out of his art that it's like, well, a mean dude can't write stuff that's this sort of fun and funny.
Oh yeah. I think not. I think he was absolutely just a fun-loving dude.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen, like a slight tangent here, there's an interview that Oda interviews Toriyama, and he's like talking about all these details about like, oh yeah, like when this happened, like that influenced me so much, it was so much. And Toriyama's just like, oh, what are you talking about? I don't remember that. That was in Dragon Ball.
I'm the one who told you that. Of course I know.
Okay. I didn't remember about all that, but yeah. So I mean, that's like, to me, that says a lot about his personality, where it's like, yeah, he doesn't really, not necessarily that he doesn't care, but he's not here for like, creating high art or building big worlds. Like, he should have fun writing, and who cares? Moves past it. It's awesome. And but in doing so, he has influenced so many people by just being really good at what he does. So
yeah, I agree.
Let's see. All right, some other manga news. We are getting some anime stuff coming soon because the season is about 2 weeks from being over. So we're getting ready for other stuff. We got a Yuru Camp Season 3 trailer. I think that is fall this year. Actually, it might be summer. And we got a new Dan to Dan trailer.
That's more exciting.
Yes. And that Dan to Dan, I mean, people are getting hyped about Dan to Dan. People in anime are asking about, oh, is this good? And the manga people are coming out in droves and being like, it's so good.
It's very good.
It's just so very good. So very excited for those animes coming up.
I feel like it's also relatively unspoilable by the scumbag spoiler people in the manga community that exist,
Yeah, well, it isn't, I mean, it's not like there's no like singular plot really it's just kind of a bunch of vignettes that tie together and introduce more characters, but it's just sort of like, well, this is the story where they go and fight the dancing girl, and this is the story where they fight, the one-eyed worm beast in the town, and this is the story where they fight the giant kaiju, and they're doing all the different genres and stuff. We talk about Dan to Dan quite often. It's a great series.
And no one really dies, which is funny because like the stakes always feel like real.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, just a very good series.
Yeah, but you're totally right. Interesting crossover happened, I think, last week or over the weekend. There was a crossover with Overwatch, I guess Overwatch 2 technically, and Cowboy Bebop. They introduced 3 skins. A skin for Cassidy, who was formerly McCree, which I guess I had like looked that up. I was like, who the hell is Cassidy? There's a Spike skin for Cassidy, a Faye Valentine skin for Ash, and a Jet skin for Mauga.
I don't know who any of those people are.
I knew McCready
I guess
Cassidy, but
Cassidy, yeah.
yeah,
I don't
and
know
those
who
are
the other two
25.
are.
Those are $25 each, and people are mad about it. It's so weird. But remember, 6 months ago, maybe there was a One Punch Man crossover with Overwatch 2.
Oh,
Also,
with Doomfist.
yeah, then we got the Doomfist Saitama or Caped Baldy, whichever one you want to go with. Crossover, yeah. Which is it's weird. I'm guessing that in research, the Overwatch team knows that they have more of a crossover with anime and manga fans than probably we know. So maybe it seems a little weird from our end, but
I think they just check what Fortnite is doing and copy paste and do the same thing.
Also, yeah, very true.
Truly, this doesn't matter to me whatsoever.
No.
But I'll supplant that and say I went to the 25th anniversary Cowboy Bebop pop-up that was in Japan. Fucking sick. And I got
cool.
I got a signed poster. It was awesome.
Oh, signed by who?
I don't know, actually. So I don't know how important it is.
Signed by like sixth grip best boy or something.
I should have just made up an answer and said the director.
I was going to say, it's probably either the director or a
people.
voice actor or something, but yeah.
I'm just going to tell people it was signed by the whole cast, and they can fact check me on that if they really want to.
Are you sure? Yeah. Cool. One more kind of anime announcement thing that I just thought was pretty cool. We got news for the ending for the Suicide Squad anime, which we also got a new trailer for. That's going to be sung by Mori Calliope, who is a member of Hololive English VTuber agency. She's joining some of her fellow Hololive talents who have also been involved with anime. I think three or four of them maybe have done openings and endings. It's one of her goals she set out to do.
I've heard of her.
And she is a native of the same state that you and I are from, so we should support
Texas?
her in that. Yep, she is from
hell
Texas.
Yeah. Yeehaw, brother.
Yep.
That's cool. I saw like a lot of VTuber shit in Japan.
Yeah, it's
I only know the dog one. But she's cute.
Korone?
She's funny. Yeah,
Korone is hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a lot of her like merch in shops and stuff.
Yeah, she's very big. She's one of the bigger ones. I think yeah, anyways, I won't go into VTuber stuff. I'm big into that, but some reprint news. We got every volume of Akabane Honeko no Bodyguard is getting reprinted. That series is popping off. I think we got an anime announcement for that, or that it's in production. When that hits anime, that's going to be a pretty big one. I think that's a really fun one.
I haven't read past the first few chapters, so
I know. I need to go back and read it too to catch up, because I did enjoy what I read. I just kind of happened to fall off it. I think the fan translations were inconsistent early on, so there might be a better way to get it now.
Yeah, I wonder if it's licensed somewhere.
It is for hardcover or for like physical sales. I think it's on K Manga, I think is the issue. I believe that's a Kodansha property.
That makes sense why it disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah,
just like smoking behind the supermarket.
Yeah, all that Kodansha stuff disappeared. I also just like when that K Manga came out, I like almost all the Kodansha stuff just stopped reading because it's just so hard. Like I would gladly still be reading Rental Girlfriend, but it's hard to read because it's on the K Manga app, so I just stopped reading it, and thank God I did.
Is gladly the right word?
I would have
It's still very.
I would have kept reading it, period. Gladly,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So Kindergarten Wars registered a new logo in sort of a copyright thing. So people are saying potential anime announcement. This is, I guess, their evidence is this is what happened a couple of days or weeks before we got the look back announcement, is they registered sort of a new visual trademark, which turned out to basically be like the anime branding.
It is popping off. It is in the very popular manga section in all of the bookstores in Japan. So
and it's also really good. Have you read the last like 3 or 4 chapters, maybe 5 chapters?
No, I'm like 10 chapters behind or something. I gotta catch up.
Go and catch up and get back to me, because this last most recent arc and flashback and stuff that we've had are like superb. Easily the best part, I think, of the whole series so far.
It's the blonde guy, the cop, right?
Yeah.
So, I hear that's really good. I got to go read it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his flashback and stuff. So that's what we've been doing. But yeah, that's really good. One last thing to note, I guess this will be our last little news thing. A Japanese blogger has found that mangaka have an average lifespan 20 years shorter than the average Japanese person. The average mangaka, I think, has a lifespan of like 63 years, and the average Japanese person lives to 83 years old.
That is a dark statistic.
Yeah, I'm curious if this is...
I get why.
Yeah, I think that this is probably skewed. I didn't look at their exact data, obviously. My guess is that this is skewed by those being the extremely popular and sort of long serialized works where people are working really hard for years and years and years, essentially working themselves to death. Because if you're just a casual mangaka, where you're not working yourself to death every week, if you're just doing it, for fun, or it's every, month or whatever, I wonder if we could ask this guy. I would be curious to see, like, hey, can you do the average lifespan of people who serialize like monthly versus people who serialize weekly versus biweekly? I wonder if those. I wonder if there's any difference there. I would guess that we do see a little bit of difference. I bet the weekly. I bet the weekly serialized people die a lot earlier.
Right?
Yeah,
it's
sure.
it's a brutal fucking schedule. I couldn't do it, dude.
No,
I'd be dead at 40. It's an insane schedule.
Yeah,
TLDR, just make Yotsuba. Just release stuff whenever you want.
Yeah, or One Punch Man. It's like Murata draws when he's ready, it comes out. Or Chojin X is the same way. So Ishida just whenever he's ready, the chapter comes out. Sometimes you get 2 chapters a week, and sometimes you go a month without a chapter. So
it's like an earned privilege. It's like a graduation lap. But I would love if their schedules weren't as fucked up and crazy as they are now.
For sure, it's wild that it's like, oh, the norm in Japan is 1 chapter a week, and it's like there is no comic in the West nowadays, I think, that publishes a chapter a week. Like I think the most frequent ones are I guess it would be a chapter. I think 2 chapters a month are the most. I think biweekly for stuff like Batman and Superman are the most frequent ones. I don't know any series that does weekly. You can jump in the comments and correct me if you're a bit more up to date on Western comics, but Western comics has just completely done away with the weekly model, and they completely did away with it like 20 or 30 years ago. Because it was just unsustainable. Like there's just no way.
Yeah, and like the majority of the time, the author and the artist are separate, so one person can think of story ideas and one person can do the drawing.
Which again, we also advocate for having one person be a writer and one person be your artist. And most of those series, I think, are maybe not massively superior, but I think those work a lot better in a lot of situations.
I advocate for it, but in this universe, One Piece wouldn't exist.
Well, I mean, I also do really, really like the sort of single creator
creative focus. But it's tough though, right? It burns people out because
it does not work for everyone.
Just because of the schedule, right? Like I think a single creative focus of art and writing, I mean, it's like striking gold already. But then you put them through the ringer with the weekly Shonen Jump schedule, and I get why you see like these stats.
Yeah. Well, and the real issue for me in all this is like, if you want to get noticed and picked up, you have to be a really good artist, right? You have to be able to draw really well or draw well enough to do what you want to do. And you have to practice that. You have to sit down and practice drawing and do drawings and over again. And if you don't have a fundamental understanding of storytelling or characters or, authorship or these other types of things, you're not practicing those until you're a good enough artist. So those kinds of talents generally lag behind, I think, in manga. There's tons and tons of good artists in manga. I think there's less, by percentage, I guess you would say, less good storytellers and, character-driven authors and stuff like that. I mean, the fact that there's like, I can mention, Urasawa is one of these guys who I think is the whole basket and is just an amazing writer, like just miles above, almost everyone else in the industry. And it's like, Urasawa is really good. It's like, I can name you like probably 10 guys from the West who I think are pretty close to the level of as good an author of Urasawa is. But if you look at artists, it's like, well, the manga artists are all really, really good. So yeah,
I don't know. It's a balancing act, I guess.
It's a difficult thing.
Yeah, it is difficult.
All right, well, cool. That's it that's it for news and manga. One more thing is the same for both of us, which I don't know why I shrunk this picture down. But yeah, I've been playing Final Fantasy VII ReBirth for about 75 hours now. And you've been playing it too, right, Gautam?
I played it for like an hour.
Yeah, so we're on 2 ends of the spectrum. I'm loving it. It has, the best thing I can say is that this is mini games the game. There are more mini games in this game than any other game I have ever played. Maybe combined. I'm not even kidding when I say combined.
Like sit-ups, squats, like in the first game?
Yes. Like sit-ups, squats, like character boxing, the bike race thing. There's a card game in this that's really good that you play in different ways. There's chocobo stuff. There's like using chocobo to sniff for things, using chocobo to fly over things. There's like throwing the darts. There's like, I'm not even kidding. I think there are like 40 or 50 mini games in this game. There's like the Fort Condor is back from the Yuffie expansion. There's like a different kind of version of, it's not Fort Condor, but it's kind of like Fort Condor, but it's like slime attack or something. It's wild how many mini games are in this game.
Do they have darts again? Because I like playing darts.
They have it is not darts, but there was a game that worked exactly like darts, and I don't remember what it was. It was just a little thing you had to do. I don't know. It's insane that I don't think you can go more than 3 or 4 hours playing this game without getting into some kind of mini game. So you'll discover soon that they're in there.
This game is good. I feel like Spider-Man 2 had a ton of mini games, and like half of them weren't that good. So
I would say it's the number of times I've been like, that was a good mini game. Maybe like 1 in 10, like 1 in 8.
That's not a good sign.
But there's also 1 in 8 are like maybe really bad mini games. Most of them are just like, okay,
like
that was fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
They're like good enough.
Gotcha.
They're good enough where it's like, oh, I didn't hate doing that. A couple of them I do absolutely hate doing.
Spider-Man 2 had this one where you have to like go like make the bees come back to the environment. And that may be like one of the worst mini games I've ever played.
I just had to do.
There's so much.
There's a bunch of stuff too that isn't even like a mini game, but it kind of is. Like I was doing one quest where I had to like, it doesn't even like lead. It didn't even say like lead the cat back to town. It was just like accompany the cat back to town. If you get too far from it, it will stop moving. And so it was like, okay, this is just me slow walking, like 400 yards back to town. Nothing attacked me. If I tried to walk too fast, if I tried to sprint, you just the cat lost sight of you, got to go back. And then right after that, I did a quest where it was like a group of like 6 slow moving guys. And you're just like, you have to just accompany them to this door that's 100 feet away. And you can push them to make them go faster. But if you push like the lead guy too far away from the rest of his pals, he just turns around and walks back to his pals. It's shit like this. It's like, where it's like, is this fun? Square? Is it? No, it's not really. But then sometimes you get like, I'm trying to think of what some of the fun mini games are. Like Chocobo Racing is pretty good, right? Chocobo Racing I think is really fun. It's like a watered down version of Mario Kart, but it's easy. All the Chocobo stuff is pretty decent in this game. So yeah, I mean, it's fun. The story is awesome. I am trying to I'm edging myself to not just rush through it by doing all the side quests and stuff. But I actually really like the way this open world works. It isn't Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom tier, but it's sort of simple and straightforward enough for me to just be like, oh yeah, you want me, there's like 6 check marks on the box, and when you check off one of them, you get 3 more, and you just go check them off, and it's pretty low effort.
I prefer that. I like Tears of the Kingdom if the thing is all about the open world, but for this pseudo open world, it's perfect. It's a narrative game.
Yeah,
it sounds cool. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't mind the checklist type of open worlds, but when you walk into an area and there's like 100 check marks to go on, like as much as I like The Witcher 3, you would go into some areas and it would be like, okay, here's like where 6 towns are and 8 places of power and 10 of these other things and 20 question marks. This game does good because it's like, okay, you get to an area, here's 6 towers. Every tower you get reveals 3 more things to look at. That's what you do. And then there's quests, and it's like,
what cool, modern open worlds do is that they have all those things, just like The Witcher 3. Except they don't put anything on the map. Like Tears of the Kingdom, Elden Ring, the 2 goats, their map is sparse, right? It just shows locations. And I think that's how it should be. So you're not like neurotically trying to complete everything. You just go with the flow and finish up, right?
Well, and this is good because it's broken into it isn't like, oh, I have the whole world map that I can look at the same time and it has 100 things on it. It's like you get to an area, the area has, 30 or 40 things to do, and you go and do those things and you move on. So I sort of like that about it. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. The combat is still awesome as always. It's great. I love all the new characters. I have gotten to a point in the game where I won't spoil it, but I've gotten most of the original cast sort of has appeared on screen. So yeah, it's great.
That's the blurriest image I've ever seen, Bruce.
I dragged and dropped this from Google. I know that there's a bigger version of it, but whatever. It's
all good.
For no spoilers. You don't know who these characters are.
Yeah. It's blurred out for your spoiler-free viewing.
Exactly.
Of course.
All right, cool.
Hey, you know what? Let me take us out this time.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Okie dokie. Hey, thanks everyone for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and all that jazz. But let me end this one with an Akira Toriyama, or more so Master Roshi quote. Move well, study well, play well, eat well, rest well. That is the Turtle Master way.